Have you ever had an extended period of joy, bliss, happiness in life, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, negativity creeps in, or you pick a fight with your friend or a coworker or your lover, or your husband or wife? Yeah, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Sarah Sullivan with Life Stylized, and if you've been following Rono and I for the last couple weeks, you've known that we've had some pretty amazing adventures. We just got back from the Burning Man Festival where we had a blast. It is a complete amazing experience. It deepened our love for each other, it deepened our awareness of how we can be a better service to our business, to our communities, and so on. And it was a really amazing, joyful, energetic experience. And then, followed by that, we got to go teach at the Omega Institute, which has been a lifelong dream of mine to teach in an institute of that caliber. And not only that, we got to meet one of our favorite transformational experts, Gay Hendricks. So we've had an amazing, incredible last several weeks. Now, because of what Gay Hendricks taught me in his book, The Big Leap, I'm very clear of this concept called upper limit. And I know that because humans only have a certain capacity for joy based on all the suffering and struggling that we have built into our DNA over hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of years, that we have a very limited capacity for extended happiness. Now, you can read all about this in The Big Leap. I highly recommend that book. But because I've read that book and I'm aware of the concepts and how to best deal with knowing when my upper limit switch, which is basically my happiness meter, gets triggered, I usually know when to watch out for it. Well, that happened last night. Ooh. As in nature, as in breath, every expansion, there comes a contraction. Or actually vice versa with your lungs. So I know that when there's been great expansion in my life, naturally it will be followed by a contraction. It's just part of the rhythm and the flow of life. So I'm very aware and I'm cognizant to be looking for it. But that doesn't always make you totally aware of when it's going to hit you over the head. So knowing that we had an expansion, and then all of a sudden, knowing that the contraction was coming, I thought that the contraction had already hit in various ways. Some things had shown up. There was a couple little nitpicky fights that Rono and I got in. There was a few little dips in our energy. And I thought, okay, well, there it is. Easy peasy. We got through that one. Not so much. In conjunction with the harvest moon, that was just last night, so some of you may relate if you had a little bit of icky, funky yuckies over the last couple of days. The full moon is a very powerful force as well, as we all know. But we pretty much had a full-on breakdown between Rono and I last night, and it was really, I believe, the bottom of the contraction. And that contraction was as deep as the expansion that we had just been feeling. So as you can imagine, it was pretty intense. Now, I believe that there can be no breakthroughs without a breakdown. And in the process of our breakdown, I was cognizant enough to be super grateful for the process, even though my thoughts, feelings, and emotions were in peril, and I was having some real emotional triggers that were happening. I was still able to stay in the process of awareness around, wow, okay, this is a contraction. This is an opportunity for me to see something new, for me to heal another layer of my wounding that is coming up in relationship to Rono's wounding, which is really the beauty of relationship. Another great book of Gay Hendricks is Conscious Loving. So if you're in relationship, I highly recommend that book as well. It'll help you get through some of the rough points. So what we did was we just rode the wave. We dove deep. We got into it. It was not fun. It was not a pretty sight. It was the underbelly of, much of what we teach. And we really had to put a lot of our own concepts into practice while we were in our own emotional, I don't know, I guess I'll just say meltdown for lack of a better word. But I'm sharing this with you because I really want you to understand that these are the cycles of life, that we can easily get swept into the contraction and think that the world is ending, or utilize it to disrupt or take away from all the progress and growth that we do every day as humans when we're on the path of self-discovery and betterment and consciousness. And it really happens to the best of us. Even those of us who are light workers, who are doing our best to teach others how to be masters of their own emotion and mindset and thoughts and feelings, it can still come along at a very inopportune time and take you by surprise. And the process through it is as important as the process itself. So giving yourself a break when it happens, trusting that this is part of your healing, doing some of the inner critic work that many of you maybe have worked with me on because you've come to some of my free calls and things like that, is absolutely essential. I tell you, one of my main core critics, and probably a few others, were up last night, and I was able to articulate to Rono why I was acting in such a outrageous way, very different from my normal personality, because I was deeply wounded and making all sorts of things up in my head. And my protective rebel, which is my core inner critic, was up to fight off anybody that wanted to hurt me, aka Rono. Not that he wanted to hurt me, but that was where my own inner critic was fighting for my own survival. So as you can see, there's multiple things that I've been learning about myself in these processes, and multiple things that I want to be teaching you in relationship to your processes. But I would love to hear from you and know what are your techniques to shift out of those dips when they hit you over the head and you just find yourself deeply wrought in emotion and struggle and fight or whatever it is. For me, the technique is to find the quickest, just to be in complete, utter gratitude for the healing process that is undergoing. Even though it didn't feel good, even though I wanted to run away, I wanted to fight, I wanted to reject Rono, I wanted to hide, I wanted to cry, I mean, all those emotions were up. I was deeply grateful for the process of awareness. And I wasn't getting, even though I was swept into the energy of what was happening, I was still able to be a witness in many regards to that process. So I'm curious what you got out of this video. I'm curious to know what your processes are. I'm curious to know maybe what you've been feeling and going through lately in the last couple of days on this beautiful harvest moon, and what we can do to support you. There's a lot of great programs coming up that are teaching the concepts that I just shared with you. You can learn more by just checking out our website. But I am very curious, because if I'm feeling this, then so are you. So are many of us. As humans, we tend to think that we're alone in our grief and our process and our emotions. And more often than not, if I'm experiencing this right now, you and several other people around you are experiencing it in some way as well. So I'd love to hear from you. So please post your comments, your questions, your tips, your shares, what you're needing right now. And thank you so much for watching this video. I'm coming to you from one of my beautiful hikes because I knew that after a night like last night, I needed to get out, be in nature, reground, regroup, and rediscover what has birthed forward, or what wants to birth forward from that fertile ground. So blessings to all of you. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you. Take care. Mwah.